I'd like to thank everybody for coming out to our first anniversary and the Fan Forum Q&A. First of all, give yourself a round of applause. We didn't expect this many people. Pretty much we're going to use the forum. If you have a question, raise your hand. Bam over here will come over and give you the microphone, and we're just going to go from there. So, start it off. We have Tracy Smothers, Sterling James Keenan, Chris Hamrick, one half of Team Shag, Colton Cabana, and the 1PW owner, Stephen Gonley. Steve All right, so raise your hands and Bammer will come around. And he doesn't speak English, so don't ask him anything.
Hi, Steve Carino. Do you think Ricky Landell will be over here competing any time soon?
Yeah, sometime next year he's going to come over. He's going to come over and try and work a bunch of the companies, get more experience in Europe and stuff. He's been to Japan once, and he's been all over the States and Canada, so you know, Europe is his next trek.
I have a question for Steve. Is tonight's match the most hardcore thing you've ever done?
Yeah, absolutely. I've been through 3 of these before, 2 with Terry Funk and 1 with Homicide, and you know, Terry Funk is as much of a legend as he is, and you know, he was about the same size, and Homicide was smaller and stuff like that. So going in, and you know, I was always, you know, the bad guy for all 3 of these ones. So going in against somebody so big as Abyss, and you know, on the other side, it's definitely going to be the hardest thing I've ever done.
This is for Steve. Is there any wrestler that you've wanted to sign but hasn't actually shown interest in coming over for 1PW? Go.
Apologies. No, we're really lucky at the moment. I think because there's such a respect going on, and all the guys, we've got such a great team. We kind of have a lot of guys really want to work here. So if it's right and it's right, they come in and do it. But there's not really anybody that we've really wanted that hasn't come. We're just really lucky to have the guys we've got, I think. So that's a bad answer, I know, I'm sorry.
This is to all, who's your least favourite person to work with and why?
Teddy Hart. Because he lives on a different planet. Least favorite.
Least favorites.
Are you the same one that asked this question like 2 Q&As ago? I'm reasonably sure you got the same response, because no one's going to sit here and say they don't like to work with anybody, because it's the business. You got to work with who you got to work with. I hate working with Carino.
What about you, Tracy? Tracy?
Same thing you said, right?
All right, so I'm the asshole.
Yeah, Steve's the asshole.
All right, next.
Steve Carino, you're looking forward to going back to Ring of Honor and working with Homicide again?
Looking forward to going back to Ring of Honor. It's a lot of fun being there. You know, they have unbelievable action. It's different than anything that I do in the States. So, and certain chemistry that me and Homicide have. You know, as much as we don't like each other outside the ring, there's something we have inside. So it's going to be good. And I think November 4th, it's the end of the feud. So 4 years that, you know, we've had this running, and you know, that's the last. And we've both told ROH that, you know, if we're going to do it, we're going to do it one last time. We're never going to wrestle again.
Against each other, you mean?
No, I'll be done.
This is to all of you. What's the worst rib that anybody's ever pulled on you?
I once saw this guy that got a Sterling James Keenan tattoo, and I thought that. worst rib I ever had, Jack Victory stole the ECW belt from me like 5 minutes after I won it, and I couldn't find it for like 3 hours. And yeah, I was almost crying and everything. It was pretty emotional, and once he saw the tears in my eyes, he finally gave it back.
I guess a lot of ribs are played, on you especially when you're younger, and the older veterans will play them on you. One of my first road trips, and I guess it's kind of embarrassing, but I'll go ahead and tell it to you. One of my first road trips, Adam Pierce is a guy who works for Ring of Honor now, and was very influential on bringing me into the business. But he was also very influential on teaching me how and why to rib. So one of the first road trips, when it was over, he went to the toilet, took a number 2, and then wiped his butt and put it in my pockets. Yeah, that's a bad one.
Alright, I really haven't had a lot pulled on me, but there's one that I pulled on this one guy that I thought was pretty cool. He gave me a tape that said the best of hot commodity in ECW. So take this home and watch it. So I take it home and watch it, and it's a porn. This black guy's doing this white chick, right? So I have my friends to call and tell him that a couple years ago I was about to get married, and before I could get married, my wife got raped and killed by black guys. And so it scared the death out of him. So I finally go to a show to where he's at, and he's like trying to walk up, talk to me and all that, and I walk away from him. Finally, I tell him, I'm like, we need to talk. And I told him, I said, stay away from me because I think you're an asshole for doing that. I'm sure I've said it on some of my shoots, and it's out there. And he's shaking like this. He's like, Hamrick, I swear to God, if I would have known, I wouldn't have done it. Blah, blah, blah. So anyway, I had a switchblade knife in my pocket. I pulled the switchblade knife out, I flick it, and I hold it against his throat, and I said, I got one question for you. I said, you really think I'm a good worker? I said, you got real, bitch. And a tear ran down his eye.
I've been lucky enough I haven't had too many severe ribs pulled on me. I had one pulled twice on the flight over. Unfortunately, someone that was sitting next to me decided to, every time I'd fall asleep, put the air on full blast right on my head. And, I have a hard enough time sleeping on airplanes as it is, so both times I actually fell asleep within about 35 seconds. I was being blasted with ice cold air. That wasn't too friendly.
I guess the worst rib I had was in 1988 New Japan tour. I was with Bob Orton Jr. and Dick Murdoch. Remember those guys? Well, 2 days, we were there 31 days, 3 days in the tour. My shoes were discovered missing. I kind of knew I was being ribbed. I had to wear for 28 days my wrestling boots everywhere I went. Last day of the tour, right when I was getting on the plane, they gave me my shoes back. I was so ribbed, if I was hot, pissed off, I wouldn't have got anything back. I'd probably be in the river somewhere.
This is Stephen. At what point did you realise that you wanted to start up on PW? Can you remember the moment you decided you wanted to build a company?
I'm doing my personal microphone. Thank you. Just sometime last summer, really. It's probably something we'd always wanted to do, but you kind of don't really think it's possible. I mean, it says in the program, tonight's really, I guess I can swear at the camera. Tonight's really our big kind of fuck you to everybody that says you can't do something or you shouldn't do something or something's kind of like too, I'm not really using the right words, but we kind of always wanted to do something. I just didn't think it was possible. And then in our kind of style, we did something and there's no half measures, we kind of just did all the way. So from the very first show, I think 1PW was just an all the way promotion, and it wasn't a half-assed attempt, it was just everything, we put everything into it every day, and all the team, all my family do, every day we put everything into it. I don't think that's actually answered the question, but it is something I always wanted to do. And I always had a fear that I'd kind of never do anything ever in life, so if I died now, and I hope I don't, at least till after the show, I'd be really happy. Thank you.
This is a question to all of you. Would you say the internet is good or bad for the business?
I mean, obviously there's two sides of the story, and I guess with the progression of pro wrestling, you know, I think when I don't want to, you know, when Tracy was probably first coming up, you know, obviously there's no internet and kayfabe was still, you know, still alive, and then from now, where you can kind of read on the internet, you know, what means what and who does what, it kind of ruins a lot of perception of wrestling, and that comes with, I guess it's forced to change pro wrestling itself. But in other words, you know, I don't think I would be anywhere as close to where I am right now without word of mouth via the internet, you know. And when I first came over here in 2003 to England, you know, the only reason was because the internet fans were pushing for me to come over, and it's not like they would have heard of me, you know, if there was no internet. So you know, that allowed me the opportunity to come over to England and then, you know, really, you know, do the things that I'm doing now. So in terms of that, it's really helped me out tons in meeting new fans and talking to people, you know, and then there's obviously the flip side. So, I mean, obviously there's two sides of the story, but that's going to happen with everything, so.
I pretty much agree with Colt. I think it's, you know, the evolution of the wrestling business now, you know, that the internet is, you know, an informational tool for not just promotion, but for fans all around the world to talk to each other, to give their opinions, to actually have, you know, a voice where, you know, before the internet, it was pretty much word of mouth, and, you know, promoters had to really like sit outside and listen to the crowd and listen to, you know, different types of people. Is the internet still a minority of the crowd? Yes. You know, I look at, you know, what we have going to be there tonight and what we have in the room today, and it's still a minority, but it's still a huge voice. So I think the good definitely outweighs the bad when it comes to the internet. You know, you're going to have your people start rumors, and you're going to have people talk bad about things for no reason. But you know what? There's so many good things that come out when it comes about the internet and the wrestling fans, that you just take the bad and go, you know, that's just a couple bad apples. But you look at how many good people are out there. I've actually met fans of mine that are now like my personal friends, you know, and, you know, 10, 15 years ago, you know, I wouldn't have been able to have that chance. So yeah, the good definitely outweighs the bad when it comes to the internet.
I think so. I tried to tell him before. What else did you say?
I think they both pretty much summed it up throughout, you know, Colt and Torino.
Big stick. Yeah, you can take this off. Let's just send it back and forth.
There you go.
It only took us 30 minutes.
Jay Phoenix has arrived, fans. He's sitting right to my right, and he's got more heat than the sun. What in the world? Anyway, I've been here about 3 months now, and what's that site y'all have here? UKFF Forum, is that what it's called? I think it's a shame when, you know, whoever does what, post under 20 names, and they, as y'all say, slag other companies or slag anything that's trying to get something done in a major way. And, you know, both Steves are trying to get that done here, and all you see is negative. And I really think that's a shame, because there's guys trying to make a living off this. There's people here, the Gauntlet family, that are trying to give the UK something that they've never had before, and that's a major local promotion that you're a part of. And when you see 40 pages of a bunch of bullshit, that's some little punk, okay? Digs up emails, whatever the hell text they do, and everything else that they do, and try to down something that's something that you know, this whole UK and Europe could be proud of, because you could do the whole thing because it's hot. And in the day, you know, companies, promotions, offices always had regional areas. They didn't get out of them. They worked together in somewhat. They didn't necessarily, you know, drink a beer or hang out. Promoters didn't, but they would swap talent. Now they steal talent. And we see guys plotting against this, plotting against that, talking to 25 you know, people on the internet, whatever, and coming up with stuff, and they can print what isn't even close to what's going on, because they know about as much about our business inside as, like I said before, making a nuclear weapon. They don't know nothing. They don't know nothing. And it really pisses you off when you're over here and you see, because it's so much potential. And in the day, I can remember when it was World of Sport and the arenas were sold out everywhere. You know, I ain't got to say anymore. And it's always been that way. And now all you see people wanting to slag this show, slag this show, slag this promotion, do this, do that, try to shut this guy down, try to get this guy put in jail, try to do this, get this guy took off show, get the shows canceled, do everything humanly possible to just fuck it up, excuse my language. And that's a shame, because it hurts the business and it hurts everybody in it. And most of them are people that have never been in the ring and never took a bump or had a part of running a show, and you don't even know that. Because I've ran a few shows, Carino's ran a few, I know that. Steve Gauntlet, I don't know how he does it. He's probably got about, I'd say about 1,000 daggers in his back, just from what I see. Because I wear this shirt, I really don't wear it to any other promotion but here, because if I do, I got a lot of heat. And I got a lot of heat anyway, and I've had cheap shots took at me because I work for these guys here. So that's kind of the way it is, and it's a shame, because the business is bigger than anyone in it, okay? You understand what I'm saying? That's anybody in the ring, that's anybody in production, that's anybody that promotes, that's anybody that sets up the venues, things like that. People will call venues and do everything to get them kicked out of there and stuff like that. I've sit and watched that. Same thing in the States, but we say in the States it changes every 15 minutes. It changes about every minute here. I've been through pure hell here, and I think it's a shame as far as dealing with stuff like that. And y'all say dodgy, that's your word, dodgy. Well, that's the way it is. But when you do that, and remember this, when you criticize and you say what you say, that is your opinion. Back home, we say opinions are like assholes. Everybody's got one. Okay? You know what I mean? So, you know, have respect for what we do. Have respect for the people, the Gauntlet family that puts this together, that's trying to give you something, like I said, all over the UK and Europe for a long, long time. And, you know, something that, you know, can compete with the big boys, I guess you'd say, and that's Vince and TNA. So they're trying to do it. That's up to you. But when you got people on here and you got all this, I've heard everything in the world. It's just crazy. And it's like science fiction. It's like that magazine we got, National Enquirer. But when you criticize guys that are in the ring and you don't even know what you're talking about, don't do that. Don't do that. I see people chanting, you fucked up, and the guy could have broke his neck over that. It makes me sick. In the day when I started, I wouldn't be sitting here talking to you, especially if I was a heel. All right? I really wouldn't. We wouldn't even be doing this. We wouldn't sit at the table with each other. Because, you know, Cole down there, I'm wrestling tonight. You know what I mean? It's like that. We call it kayfabe. You know, they don't know how. I'll shut up after I say, I know I'm talking a lot here, but it's just like magic. There isn't magic, but you didn't know how we did it. Now you know how we did it, but you don't really know how we did it because you hadn't been in the ring and done it. And until you do, you have no idea what we go through mentally, physically, spiritually, being away from home. I miss my kids, my dog, miss my girlfriend a little bit, but you're over here and you see. And it's a shame that anybody would do something, because it's the greatest job in the world. I've got to do it for 23 years. I retired in 2001. I got back full-time at it last year. Now I've been to England 6 times, Scotland a few times, Germany a few times. It's by far the longest time. It's the most beautiful place in the world. It really is. All the UK, that's Scotland, Wales. I was in Wales last night, and it really is. My mother was born English. My dad's German, and you know, and so it's just a great thing. So I think that you got something going real good here that could go on this whole continent. So remember that. So, you know, leave the negative at the door. Just be positive, upbeat, and do everything you do, because you are a big part of it. So.
Alright guys, I missed the question, but going along the lines of what Tracy was saying, obviously I don't have as much of opinions as these guys do, because I've only been wrestling 4 or 5 years, but even just in the year that 1PW have been promoting, I've realised that 1PW have been able to do things that every other UK promotion, or even almost every other European promotion, has failed to do in years of promoting. You know, in 1 year, 1PW has accomplished so much more than any other promotion that I've ever worked for. this is the biggest promotion I've ever worked for, and you know, luckily enough, I was able to get a second chance. You know, I came the first time, tried out, caused a wee bit of trouble, a wee bit of trouble, not much, and I was lucky enough to be given a second opportunity, and because of the opportunities that I've been given here, you know, it's led on to like so many other things. I mean, I'm going to the States, going to Africa, everything else, and it's all came through 1PW. And you know, I really hate to see any of the fans have anything negative to say about the company after all the great things that it's done for me and other people on the British scene who weren't as well known before 1PW came along. And well, obviously, just many thanks to Steve and his family, Steve Carino, and all the workers who have helped put me over, and hopefully I can do the same in return for anybody I get to work with. That's all.
I was going to ask a question, but JP kind of just answered it. Out of all the promotions that you've around the world, what makes you keep on coming back to 1PW to work for it? That's for everyone.
Go ahead, Sterling.
We'll start down there.
Well, like I said, 1PW is pretty much the biggest promotion I've ever worked for. I had like one match at CZW over in ECW Arena, but apart from that, 1PW is the biggest promotion I've worked for.
Yeah, I think they have a lot of potential here to do things in a major way, as I was saying before, and it's just going out there and getting it. And believe me, I had no idea until I was here for some time. You're going to have to really grind your teeth and really dig in and just go take it. It's just the way it is. Somebody gets in your way, you just mow them down. It's just the way it is. If it becomes illegal, then you get them legal. That's just the way it is. I don't know how else to look at it. But it's great to be a part of, because you see the potential it has to be in there with WWE, TNA, and Ring of Honor. I was going to say that, All Japan, New Japan, things like that. So, as I said, you're a big part of it, so don't slag it. There's a lot of, I've seen so much great talent here in the UK and Europe since I've been here that never deemed possible. Young kids, veterans alike, there really is. It's amazing. I think the UK and Europe is just red hot for wrestling. As you can see, Vince sells out them, and it's like a concert. And I watch that World of Sport, and a lot of people make fun of that, but those guys were tough guys. I know some of those guys. I've been in the ring with some of those guys, and he believed in it. And here they're trying to get a mix of everything. It's like a restaurant. You have all type of food. They have a lot of children come here, and you know, have a lot of families, things like that. On the card, you have different types of matches, and it's a great show to watch. It really is, and it's real exciting. The people are just electric. It kind of reminds you of the old ECW crowd. So they're just, you know, they really have a big passion for it. So it's just a great arena. This Doncaster is one of my favorite places to work. It really is. That and the arena, probably.
I'll be the bastard and be the first to say it. It is our job, so we do have to come here for money, which is the biggest reason. But honestly, I like to come into 1PW because it's nice to work for a company that really applies itself, and I mean, they have a team that you guys don't even see, like that sets up the ring and all the production and the guys that you guys never even see throughout the night. But it's really nice to know that there's so many people working towards the same goal, and that's making this the best wrestling company it can be. It's really nice to have a boss that has a vision and a bunch of guys that are all believing in what we're doing and trying to make this the best company possible.
That's good, sir.
I don't know. I love 1PW. I think the fans are great. I think you respect us for what we do, and we love y'all doing that. And I don't know about y'all, but I think every 1PW show just gets better and better. And where's it gonna go from there? You know, just wait around to see, because 1PW is shit.
For me, it's the energy of the crowd and you know the amount of talent that you get to work with here in 1PW. You know, most of us wrestle 3-4 times a week, 2, 3, 4 times a week in every different like minor organization, major organization. Different type of rings, different type of fans, different type of atmospheres and stuff like that. But when you come to 1PW, you know what you're getting, because you're getting a full crowd of like energized wrestling fans that love the sport as much as we do. And you know, you guys may not be able to feel that, but we can. We can feel that when we're in the ring. We can feel like when you guys are on that roller coaster and you're down and you're up and you're down and you're up. And to us, that's the biggest high in the world. When you can get the crowd into it and they're into it and appreciate what you're doing, you don't feel the pain. You know, people ask me all the time, you know, why I took the bump off the balcony and how bad it hurt. And to think about it, if it wasn't for you fans, I would have never even thought about doing that, because you guys have an expectation to for every match, whether it's the first match at 7 o'clock or the last match at 11:15, and you're thinking, well, I either got to watch this match or I got to hit the damn train and stuff like that. And it's a problem that we figured out. You know, we figured out the train runs. We got to run the show up until this point. But you guys that stay and have that passion and stuff like that, we feel that, and we live off that passion, and we don't get that every place, and that's why 1PW is special for everybody that comes here. So we can say that, well, it's our job and we got to take our bookings and stuff like that, and in some companies it's like that, but for here it's it's the passion that we have and the passion that you have, and it makes a great show, and you guys should be proud, because whether it's not just the wrestlers, and like Sterling said, it's the ring crew, the production, Stephen and his family, the internet fans that go on the website and talk about the stuff. It's a family atmosphere, and like Tracy said, the only other place that I've ever felt this was the old ECW. In the two places or three places that there's Corrigan Hall, there was the ECW Arena, and then the Doncaster Dome. And if I retired tomorrow, those are the three places that I'm going to remember.
Obviously, I hate to say, everything they said, those kind of answers, and it's true, and it does stay true. But to answer really the question, saying what makes me excited to come to 1PW, what draws me there is throughout my career, I've only had really one guy that I call my tag team partner, and that was CM Punk, and we were the Second City Saints, and he was my true tag team partner. And Punk obviously got signed, and I love tag team wrestling, and it's something that I like to do a lot, and I kept on thinking, I was Ace and Anna Pierce, and I wanted to put something together. But now when I come here, I get to tag with Darren Burridge, and it's something that I look forward to every time. This is a thing that's only done here in 1PW, and as a Street Hoodlum Adventure Gang and Team Shag, and it's something I look forward to every time coming here. And I think we have such a great chemistry. And it's a reason for me why I love coming to 1PW, is to be a part of Team Shag, and for Team Shag to be part of 1PW. And it's like I found myself a second partner. I think we have a great partnership, and it really it's something that I look forward to coming to 1PW to tag with Darren and go out and entertain you guys in a completely different way, because usually there's Colt Cabana and I do my thing and I come in, but now I have such a different way of entertainment now with Darren and doing Team Shag. So that's really my big thing.
Yeah. I wondered what your guys' views are with the Necro Butcher. What are your views?
I think he's absolutely crazy. I love watching him. He's just absolutely crazy. So, yeah, I enjoy him. Hamrick hates him, though.
Hi, yeah, this is to everybody. You guys have obviously done really well with your characters. I mean, you're amazingly talented wrestlers, but you have characters that the fans appreciate or either like or don't. Have you, in your experience, seen somebody who is very talented, very charismatic, but has been let down by an awful character that just couldn't get over no matter what he did?
Jeff Jarrett.
I don't know how many people know Brad Armstrong, but if you sit there and you know that the Road Dogg's his brother, and you know the Road Dogg's funny and it comes out on TV, but what a lot of people don't realize is Brad Armstrong's like 10 times funnier. And he's a guy that when he's in the locker room, you know, just keeps you laughing and everything. But he never had like the character, or he never had the opportunity to put his real personality out on TV. And it's a shame because as funny as you think the Road Dogg is, Brad Armstrong is, you know, 10 times, you know, and this is not taking anything away from the Road Dogg. I always thought that Brad Armstrong was 10 times more the better wrestler and, you know, even funnier.
You know, I'll say one real quick is I think Chad Collier is hilarious, and just some of the antics he does when he's a rule breaker, and sometimes just the way he acts, and not intentionally funny, but I just think, to me, it's hilarious, and people, you know, see him as a straight wrestler, and I think he's an unbelievable wrestler, but sometimes they classify him in just non-charismatic or whatnot, and I think it's the complete opposite, but I think he's one that doesn't get a chance to shine through, Chad Collier.
I don't know if y'all have ever heard of him. This guy named Shawn Michaels. You can't put your break anywhere. No, seriously, I think Ron Killings is one. You know, WWE completely missed out on him, and TNA, they'll push him one week and then do nothing with him the next. You know, they're really missing out on Ron because he's a great talent.
The only one that comes to mind right away that got screwed over by a bad gimmick was Terry Taylor. They made him the Red Rooster, and he could never live that down. He was an awesome worker, and I mean, I know he's still down in the office down at TNA, I think. I'm not trying to get a job at TNA.
I don't know if you guys remember the Mean Street Posse. Remember that? Joey Abs, you guys remember him? He was a great talent, and when in 2000, when I was training with WWF in Memphis, I got there, and I saw Pete and Rodney, and I saw Joey, and I just looked like, what are you doing here? It's like that, and they sent him down here with them to help teach him how to work. Pete Gass was a great guy, but Rodney was a dick. He's impossible to deal with. He had no respect for our business or the people in it. And, you know, Joey got himself back in great shape, and it looked like that, you know, he was going to go back up. They had said he was, and for whatever political reason, it didn't happen. And when he got strapped with that gimmick, I thought that, at first, I thought it'd be good, but those guys had, well, Rodney almost as much heat as Jay over here. But, you know, that happens, and you see that with a lot of guys and things like that. But I can remember Joey Abs. He was amazing. A big guy that can move, and Bo Dupp. You guys remember him? Murray, the big Bo Dupp. He was the same way, and I could go on and on. But that's the guy that really stuck out to me. And now he's, I think he works for his dad. He has a transmission shop, body shop, or something. He's a mechanic. Murray's a teacher, coaching, but I mean Joey's doing that, and had a problem, had a you know, little problem there for a while dealing with that because he got fired, and it shouldn't have happened.
Just for being friends with backstage, I know Julie Fleisch as well can be a riot backstage, but I guess on camera he gets over basically on. You know, mainly on his in-ring work, he doesn't really show through. I think a lot of people, independent wrestlers especially, you know, they can be quite a good laugh backstage, but then when it comes to you know, doing it on camera, it doesn't really show through as well. But yeah, definitely I would say Julie is one of them.
All you guys probably travel a great deal as part of your wrestling. So has there been any real culture shocks or cultural faux pas you've made over the years?
The food here kills me. I swear, I just eat as much American junk food before, like the 2 days before I leave coming here, because I know I won't eat. I drink your beer. Your beer's fantastic, but the food I just can't handle. I like sausage rolls. I found those are tolerable, and thank God there's a McDonald's across the street. But I love the sausage. Meanest rib I've ever experienced. Doing a Q&A next to Chris Hammer.
A lot in the language. I always say I don't speak American, I speak Southern. And I sure can't understand you guys when you get wound up. I can't, I really can't. And I can't understand the Scottish people at all. I cannot understand the English. And the English tell me they can't, so I don't know. But the sayings, I got to write these all down. Like slag means dog somebody out, right? I can't say this here, but it's sexually right. Shagging. Say that? Just say it? Okay. Well, anyway, that kind of thing. And what else? Garage is a gas station. Truck stop's a lure or something like that. Y'all got all kind of terms, and they'll say something I have no idea what they're talking about. But I'm gonna write them all down and take them home. So, but yeah, it's a whole different world. It really is. It really is. But English people are basically, I guess you'd say, more polite than Americans, and you know, especially at the gimmick table, the children will come up and go, "Do you mind sending the photo, please?" When it states, "Hey, you motherfucker."
I think the biggest culture shock for me was the first time I went to Japan, and no one smartens you up that there's Western toilets and then there's holes in the ground. And you know, I take great pride into that one dump a day. You know, I have my newspaper. I get 6 cups of coffee. I mean, it's a big special thing for me. And I would have to go like looking around, like, oh my God, I can't take a crap in it. And Tracy he knows this too. You can't like sit down in these things. You know, it's a hole in the ground. So I figured out that I have to go to the handicap stall. So once I figured that out, now I'm cool. So that was the biggest culture shock for me.
I don't know. I just wrestle. That's it. I got nothing.
Fish and chips are great. Fish and chips. Awesome. Come on, man.
This is to Stephen. Growing up, who's your favourite wrestler?
Chris Hammer.
All these guys. I'll probably get slated for that, but it was Hulk Hogan. Yeah. When Sky TV first came out in the UK, it was like 89, something like that. That was all that everybody got in the UK was just WWF. If you wanted, like, I had to go and get NWA or the other stuff, the other tapes. That was all we got, WWF. And I was a Hogan Mike. When Earthquake squished him, I wrote in. I got the friendship bracelet. I wrote, Tugboat persuaded me to write to him. I really thought I was helping him, And in a way, everything that I hope that we're doing with the shows is kind of trying to get that back in a way. That kind of, like when we did the thing with Dan Edge, and somebody came up to me afterwards and said, "There's a bunch of kids crying in the crowd." And I thought, great. No, I don't mean because I'm mean and I wanted the kids to cry. I just thought it reminded me of what had happened, and I thought, well, if we can make these little kids cry, if we can take their emotions and crush them, then we're doing something good.
Another thing, your services are outrageous. I paid $4 for a cup of hot chocolate, man. That's crazy. It's crazy. It's serious. It's really.
Okay, this one goes to Chris. You mentioned earlier about how you want to see where 1PW is going. Will you be with 1PW next year?
That's your time on your shoot tape.
Okay, so obviously you're talking about the retirement thing. I don't know. My deal is, since ECW folded, I've really not took time off from wrestling to miss it. And right now I'm just really not enjoying it as much as what I did. And I just had a 7-month-old baby girl, and I want to stay home with my family a little bit. So I'm thinking, maybe take a couple months off or whatever, but, in the future, if Steve will have me, I'd love to come back in 1PW. We'll just see where it goes. I don't know. I wish I could give a better answer, but I can't. And on that note, I'll just say that Sterling sucks.
Steve Perino, is there any feud about that looked amazing on paper, but when it actually happened in the ring, it just didn't go to plan?
With me?
Yeah.
Teddy Hart. Yeah. I would say to him if he was sitting right here, but you know, Teddy lives on a different planet, and you know, all the boys know it, and you know, he's just crazy. And yeah, but if you looked at it, you know, if you looked at it on paper, you know, he's the 4th generation or whatever, how many Harts there are. And you know, I'm the veteran that's jealous of his thing. And you know, we had that thing in the locker room a few years ago when I was pulling Samoa Joe off of him. Kind of like what I did to Jay earlier in the year. But you know, and then he blamed me for it. And he blamed AJ and Punk and stuff like that. So you know, I was pissed at him. And, you know, he eventually apologized, but he's still an idiot, you know, and there's no other, I can't find a nicer word. I mean, he's got a great body, you know, and he does a lot of high spots and stuff like that. But the kid's a fucking moron when it comes to dealing with it. So, you know, for Pro Wrestling Explosion, like a month ago, we got to wrestle. And I swear to God, you know, and I'll steal Tracy's line, I was fighting for my life in there because, you know, I don't know, you know, what, you know, he was thinking, but I knew what I was thinking. And you know, afterwards, I walked up to the promoter, I said, never again, never again. I emailed Steve and I said, hey, you know, when I knocked Teddy's foot off the ropes last month, yeah, just forget that, because, you know, I'm never working with this kid again. Next question.
Yeah, where's the kid that keeps slacking me off? Come on, show your face. Show your face.
I don't be recognised.
Come on, where are you?
Yeah,
Car park 5 minutes.
Oh, he's that's a good question.
That was the one sliding.
It really was him.
Does anybody else have any questions?
This is to all of you. What is your favourite match you've ever seen?
Ever seen? Oh boy. Go ahead.
Yeah, my favorite is Vic Faulkner versus Mick McMichael on World of Sport, and they are hilarious.
I think the best one I ever saw live was the first Sanjiro Otani Masato Tanaka match. That was just, you know, one of the greatest things I've ever seen. But as a kid, I went to Philadelphia Civic Center in early 1989 it was just a house show, and Flair and Steamboat did 57 minutes, and I was just amazed at, you know, the artwork that these guys put in. And, you know, thinking about it now, you know, there's tendency that there's guys that, you know, don't have a lot of pride in their work, and they'll go half speed on a house show or whatever, you know. But you know, I looked at those guys going, wow, you know, these guys went at it probably an hour every night in every city, sometimes twice on Sunday. I went, you know, that's dedication, and what they did in the match was something, you know, 17 years later, I still remember. Chris Hammer saw the first Moses vs. Jesus match.
Yeah, Christopher Daniels was the referee. I got a couple. I think Steamboat and Macho Man from WrestleMania 3 was good, and I think the ladder match between Shawn and Razor was good.
My absolute favorite match when I was growing up was WrestleMania 6 when the Warrior beat Hogan for the title. I know boo me for it, but I still to this day will watch that match in its entirety and cheer like a small kid. Thank you. And I too, when you were telling the story, I sent the thing into Hulk Hogan too when Earthquake smashed.
There's a few that I've seen. I've seen some since I've been over here on some old tapes. I don't know if any of y'all may be too young to remember Tony Sinclair. You know who that is? Anybody here know who he is? Have any idea? Okay, well, anything pretty much he was in, he was probably the greatest. I saw a match he had with Johnny Kincaid on World Sport. You guys know who that is? You don't, do you? It's a shame. It's a real shame, because anything he was involved in was the best match on the card, what I saw, anything. And I saw a match, probably one of the best matches I've ever seen. It was from years ago. It was Tony Sinclair working with Finley. And I don't know if I've ever seen anything that would top that. I really don't. I'd say in there, anything Benoit's done, you know, with Kurt Angle and Shawn Michaels, ain't anything like some of the stuff that Shawn and Kurt Angle did together. That's I don't see how you're going to top that. I can remember seeing Owen Hart and Jushin Liger in New Japan going for the Cruiserweight belt and swapping their falls and the way they did it. And Owen Hart was just out of this world. There's a lot. It's hard to say which one, but there's a lot that ring a bell. You just see so much. But I honestly believe, and I really believe this, if you ever got a chance to watch him when he was young, Tony Sinclair was probably the greatest all-around worker of all time. He could do anything. He was just amazing. You should have seen him when he was young. It was really something to see. Eddie Guerrero's in there too, and anything he was involved in was just out of this world.
Well, I don't tend to watch matches unless I'm in them, but
so then he don't have a favorite.
But two matches that just stuck out was Brett and Owen at WrestleMania 10 and Benoit and Angle at the Royal Rumble 2003. Those two stand out.
Also, anything with a Sandman in it. Thank you.
Run! Come on!
This is to all of you. What's favourite match you've ever been in?
There's a bunch that come to mind. When CM Punk and I won the tag team belts against the Briscoe brothers in Chicago as the main event for Ring of Honor was a big top ride for me. And also wrestling Johnny Kidd twice in European Rounds match was something I'll always remember.
For me, wrestling Takeo Mori in the AWA tournament finals, that was pretty cool for me, and anything that has to do with me and Chris Hamrick. I only say that because he's put money in my pocket right now. But another one was the match I had with Dusty Rhodes at Living Dangerously 2000. Just the fan in me, and being in that match was just, unbelievable. To this day, it's one of the things that I'll always remember.
I've had some real good matches with Kid Cash. I've had some good matches with New Jack, and just thank God I got out alive. Probably two that come to mind is I actually had a real good match with Carino. He made me work my ass off, and I beat him. And then I thought my match with Sterling for 1PW was good, other than the finish, and that's pretty much it.
Put me over, bitch.
My favorites would probably have to be my match with Scorpio here. It was a lot of fun. He beat the living hell out of me. And I had a match with Austin Aries last year in Pittsburgh, and that's probably one of my other favorites. The match with Hamrick was decent, aside from the fact that Hamrick was in it. Oh, and also, Hamrick did remind me of something. I worked with Chris Hamrick and a guy from Japan called Kudo in Pittsburgh. We did a three-way dance, and it was really cool because we got back to the locker room, and Abdullah the Butcher was on the show. And Abby was waiting for us, and he was drooling over the match. We came in the back, and he told us it was like the greatest thing he's ever seen, which I'm sure he's seen more, but it was really cool to have a legend like that, like waiting for us to come back through the curtain to tell us how much he liked the match. It was really cool.
Yep, I sold that fat bastard a Polaroid and told him to go on.
I guess for me, there was a couple. Best favorite tag match I ever had was 1990, this WCW Great American Bash. We worked with Cornette and Midnight Express. And that one, but really the real favorite, sentimental favorite to me was 1994 when Smoky Mountain, and we do it once a year, the Bluegrass Brawl in Pikeville, Kentucky, and it was a ladder match, and Razor and Sean had started doing it, and Cornette liked the idea, but it was a ladder match, and it was the end of our deal there as far as working with him. But it is my favorite match I've ever been in because of who it was. But it was a ladder match with Chris Candido, so I'll never forget that. So it's pretty cool that we're in a ladder match tonight. I was trying to think of spots did back then, dude. I don't know if I can physically do it, but I'm going to try. I'm looking forward to it, but that's my favorite match.
For me, last year I got to work with Mick Foley up in Scotland. I had a match with a guy called Drew Galloway. Mick Foley was a special guest referee in the match. And towards the end of the match, we did a big storyline, a big heel turn. I turned on Foley, and just basically through the reactions in the crowd that night as well. It was probably the biggest crowd that they had up in Scotland for a few years. And can I shut up? Seriously. And obviously, other than that, the match with Joe was cool as well. Other than the fact that I fucked my jaw about 2 minutes into it, but other than that, yeah, the match with Joe was pretty good as well.
They don't understand what you're saying either.
Yeah, I know.
Come on, Bam.
Hurry up, Bam.
Obviously, there's a fair few gimmick matches in tonight's show. I was just wondering what your favourite kind of matches were, and if there were any that you haven't ever done, what would you like to do? What kind of matches would you like to be?
I'll say this as a fan. When I was a kid, I loved to watch that barbed wire garbage stuff from Japan. Like, sorry. No, like there was garbage. Like, what was that? The IWA, like King of the Right, with Terry Gordy, and like I ordered that, and man, I thought that was the coolest stuff ever. And I never wanted to do it or be in it, but I loved watching that stuff. But I respect the barbed wire.
Thanks, pal. Yeah. I've been in pretty much like every type of match that you can be in, I think. And the barbed wire match is definitely not my favorite. But yeah, a regular style, and I'll be the minority in this one, but in Japan we have it's a lot of tag team wrestling, a lot of 6-mans, and there's so much you can do when you have 30 minutes in a 6-man, and everybody's getting a comeback and stuff like that. You can really have the people on a roller coaster ride. So for me, a really good 6-man where you can tell a story and you got a lot of time to develop it, and everybody gets to do their thing so that people can go up and down. That to me is very exciting.
I think ladder matches is about as hardcore as I'll go. As long as arm drags and hip tosses get over, that's what I'll be doing.
I've not really been involved with too many gimmick matches. I've done a few ladder matches. I just did my first cage match about two months ago. Don't ask me any more questions because I'm getting buried here.
I guess when I was first starting, you do a lot in old Tennessee territory. You do it a lot. You build up to an angle. But the Tennessee street fight, come as you are, anything goes. That was always a lot of fun. Don't know if I can do them now, but that's always enjoyed those. About anything, no matter how long I'm booked. I don't care. I'd rather be a heel. A lot better heel, I know that. But it doesn't matter. It doesn't really matter. It's fun to be. It's great to be back doing it.
I was always a big fan of the gimmick matches too, all the hardcore matches, street fights and whatnot, but actually taking part in them, I'm quite happy just with my regular singles matches. I'm happy to do that. Especially after seeing some of the stuff that Carino and stuff like that has done, even just at 1PW, I'm not really keen on doing that stuff myself. I would if I had to, but now I'm happy with my straight up singles matches.
I have a question for Stephen Gauntlet. What is your vision for the future of 1PW? Where do you see it going?
It's really, really hard to answer because when we first started, all we wanted to do was do, very cruel twist of fate, we just wanted to do the best possible wrestling show that we could do, and we hoped that if we did the best possible show, then enough people would come and buy tickets and it would be okay and we could carry on. And then everything's totally surpassed every expectation that we could have possibly had. And thanks to the guys that work really hard on the shows and everybody in my family, but it's thanks to you guys for keeping buying the tickets and coming. So really, you kind of dictate the future, you know. If you keep buying the tickets, then the promotion will keep growing and will keep getting better and better. And you bring the energy to the show that, like they said, these guys feed off it. So it's really down to you guys. It's your vision, really. I'm just really blessed and honoured that I don't even know how or why, but I'm able to be a part of this and to kind of, I don't know. It's going really good. So I just hope, you know, we're just going to keep working really hard. We're going to just keep trying to making things better and better, and I hope you all enjoy it. I don't know, we're just going to try.
With the gimmick matches, obviously a lot of people are remembering the big bumps or high spots in it. What's been the worst bump you've seen or you've been involved in a gimmick match? That's for anyone.
Yeah, you know what? When myself, CM Punk, Dave Prazak, and Ace Steel, we all started going down to wrestle for Ian Rotten for IWA Mid-South. I was very young, maybe 19, 20 at the time, and they had a show in front of maybe 60 people, and it was an elimination match, and in order to win, you had to eliminate a guy through a table that was on fire. And yeah, and that was, at the time, that's kind of what IWA Mid-South was all about. And there was usually 5 death matches and 2 regular wrestling matches, and I was blessed to be on a regular wrestling match. And this little African American, about 160, 140 pounds, went through the table and got like 3rd-degree burns all over his body, and it was rushed to the hospital. And it was something that was just stuck in my mind forever. His name was Richard X. You know, hopefully, you know, remember him now for, you know, like he needs to be remembered for something. I mean, he's alive still, but. You know, he got burned through the table. The poor guy didn't even want to do it, and he got thrown through it. And it's a vision that'll be in my head for the rest of my life, probably.
Wow. The worst thing I've ever done was definitely taking the fall off the balcony, and you don't realize how far that is when, you know, you're up there and you're hanging up there, and it's go time. And you know, I'm not much of a high flyer, as you know. I don't even like to go to the top rope. You know, so falling 20 feet, you know, and the worst part was, and a lot of people don't realize, when I came down, my knees hit this part of the table, which meant this part of the table came up and smacked me right in the face. And Hamrick was the first guy to get to me, and he goes, "Hey man, you all right?" I said, "Yeah, the damn table smacked me in the face," and then the pain set in. So yeah, it was one of those things I didn't know whether to laugh or cry, but I just thought it was funny that the table, instead of breaking, just, you know, hit me in the forehead. But yeah, it's definitely the worst thing I've ever done.
First of all, I don't appreciate you doing Tommy Rich when you're imitating me. Second of all, as far as the hardcore stuff, I guess anything that Terry Funk and Sabu did in the barbed wire matches was just brutal, and I wouldn't do that shit.
I saw a tape not too long ago. It was a Necro Butcher match, actually, and he fell off it was a pyramid of ladders into like some chairs, and I think there was glass or light tubes or something, and he came up and legitimately, like, an entire chunk of his bicep was just gone. It was just hanging there. It was probably one of the sickest things I've ever seen. I have an iron stomach when it comes to watching things, but I get a little queasy watching that.
I guess the hardest, it's in a ladder match with Candido. I was in Beckley, West Virginia, and I was shooting him into the turnbuckle and reverse it. The ladder's propped up right there, and I wanted to take a good bump in it, so I jumped like a splash and got the top part of it, and it catapulted me out of the ring. And I hit the back of my head, and I hit my hip, and that's why I walk like I walk right now, and knocked me out. And Mark Curtis, Brian Hildebrand, the referee, God rest his soul, kept calling my name like 7, 8 times, and I couldn't respond. I could hear him. I thought, well, that's it, I'm dead. And they said I come to and finished it. I don't remember. The next thing I remember, we were in an Italian restaurant eating, and That's the next thing I remember. And probably other than that, what I've seen is I was in Japan on some of those tours when Terry Funk and Cactus worked each other. And you talking about guys just wrapping each other up in barbed wire and just beating the crap out of it. It's just unreal. And just loving it and wanting more. And that too with Terry Funk and Sabu at the arena. You guys remember that? It's just for, were you working there then, Steve?
No, I came in there after.
A little bit after that. They had to talk to Sabu about an hour. He probably needed 40, 50 stitches is what he ended up getting in his arm. If you ever seen that, I believe it's Born to Be Wired, 97. And him and Terry all wrapped up in the barbed wire iron, just killing each other. Terry Funk's insane. He should be here. He really should. He should be here. He should be. He's something else. But anything pretty much Terry Funk's involved in is just nuts because he's out of his mind. I've never seen anybody that has more desire. Him and Sabu, you know, to do what we do and however way you want to do it. So that's pretty much it.
I've been lucky enough to never be really seriously injured in a match before, but one time I was in a TLC match and I volunteered to take this bump off the top of a ladder, which was then on top of a stage through a table. And what happened was they had already used the table in the match in some sort of spot without telling me about it, and when it came to doing the ladder spot, went to the top of the ladder to get the belts, got pushed off the ladder, fell like 20 feet off the ladder, off the stage, and landed on the hard floor because I had nothing to bump on. And that was probably the worst bump I've ever took before, but like I said, I was lucky enough not to be seriously injured from it.
Tracy, my little brother back in Edinburgh, he wants to know, when are you going to get some new dance moves?
You need to plug the show for tomorrow up in Scotland.
What?
Yeah, there's a dance moves up in Scotland. You should be able to see it then.
What town is it?
It's in Glasgow. Glasgow tomorrow.
Oh, well, tell him I'll try to change it up a little bit. I don't know. I do good to walk to the ring, much less dance. So we'll see. But, maybe I'll try them out tonight if I get a chance.
This question is to Jay Phoenix. You fought in your career match, probably the biggest of your career, with Steve Corino this afternoon.
Well, I was pretty surprised that I was given the match in the first place. Even more surprised that the world title was going to be put up on the line. Obviously, that's like a big opportunity for me, even to be involved in a match like that. Just from my age and just from my experience, you know, it's a big opportunity to really prove what I can do in the ring. I feel like so far in 1PW my matches have been relatively short, and I haven't really had the opportunity to show what I can do in the ring yet. So thanks, Chris. I appreciate that.
Steve's gonna kill you.
Thank you.
This is to Steve. What's your take on the way WWE treating C.W. Anderson at the moment?
Yeah, you know, I think the way they treat CW is the way they treat anybody that, you know, isn't drawing money for them at the moment. You know, they treat you like a piece of shit. CW's smart to it though. He knew going in that, you know, there was a chance that he could either get a good push or they would just keep him at home. And you know, with Francine getting released, you know, he called me. He's like, "Hey man," he's like, "Do you think I'm next?" You know, and right now he's out hurt, so they can't fire him yet. But I'll be the first one to say that if C.W. Anderson gets released or quits or, you know, whatever, I'm going to push C.W. Anderson to come here, because I think C.W. Anderson throughout the last 5 years, you know, 7 years, is one of the most underrated wrestlers in the world, and it's a shame that ECW went down when it did, because, you know, Paul Heyman was in love with him, and he had the great match with Dreamer at the last pay-per-view, and you know, there were plans to do a lot of big things. He was going to get the TV title in like May, and you know, they were going to push him to be a #1 guy. So hopefully CW will be set free from his prison sentence called the WWE, and he'll be here and, you know, kicking ass, because then you guys can see what the real CW Anderson can do.
Speaking new ECW that WWF done should have been left?
Yeah. You know what? For me, I'm not as negative against it as other people, because I look at it as Vince knows that the DVDs are going to sell. He knows that there's people that want to see the ECW name out there, but to him, ECW, it didn't matter that ECW was Tracy Smothers or Steve Corino or Axel Rotten or Just Incredible or stuff like that. He sees ECW as a brand, just like SmackDown. He sees it as just like Raw, and then he can make money off the old tapes, and he can put it on 24/7 and stuff like that. He can make money. So the best way to make money off of it is to put the brand out there. So I look at it as a brand. I look at TNA is the NWA, but it's not the NWA that I watched, and the AWA in the States and everything isn't the same AWA that Verne Gagne had, but it's the same lineage, but it's something different. So I'm not as negative towards it, but it's not the ECW that me, Chris, and Tracy were in.
So in your opinion, should it have been left just to fold when it did?
It would have been nice, it would have been nice for it, but for the fans that live that ECW, that lifestyle and stuff like that in the States, it's good for them. If they can get some nostalgia off it and stuff like that, then I have no problem with it. I have no problem with the Big Show holding the ECW title, and I have no problem with Rene Dupree stinking up the ring. It's one of those things that I know other people and I know fans are pissed off about it, but it's a brand, and just enjoy it because it's another wrestling company out there, and I enjoy it because my friends are getting paydays, and the one good thing that has come out of ECW is the rise of CM Punk, and I think I'm not going to bury Triple H because I think he's a nice guy, but the guys that were burying CM Punk when he came in and didn't think that he was going to get over or didn't think he's going to do anything, he's the guy now. They're trying to keep him here, but this time next year, CM Punk's going to be remembered as the ECW guy.
Okay, this one goes to Keenan. What's the best strip club in Doncaster?
The one that was in his room last night.
And you're a decent looking guy. How come you have to pay women to take the clothes off for you?
All right, I didn't know there were more than one strip club in Doncaster, so you gotta let me know, give me a card or something. The only one we frequent the Purple Door because of one of the girls, I guess, is a wrestling fan, so we always get passes and we get taken care of very well there. And as far as my love for strip clubs, I couldn't tell you why I do it. It's a complete waste of money, and I'll be the first to tell you that, and I'm aware of that. But it's just fun. I don't know. Let me ask you this. Would you rather go sit at a bar and drink beer and stare at guys all the way down the bar? Or would you rather go to a bar, have your beer, and watch a beautiful naked woman? I mean,
you have to think on that one.
You have to think about that? Right, so I don't know. I don't know why. It's dumb. It's a vice of mine. But I'll be the first to admit I spend way too much money on strippers.
This is to all of you. What do you expect from your fans tonight?
Sorry, what was the question? What do you expect from the fans?
We expect y'all to buy lots of merchandise and cheer us and boo the bad guys. That's it. A lot of merchandise.
Just in case Chris and anyone didn't cover it, lots of merchandise. The bag's heavy, and Colby's got to go to college. No, we just expect you guys to have a great time. Hopefully there's some twists and turns, keep you guys on that roller coaster. We just hope you guys enjoy it. You guys seem to enjoy all the rest of the shows, and we all watch the DVDs. We all watch what goes on. Not just the internet crowd, but the casual wrestling fans. So our job is to get some emotion out of you guys, and you guys always show it. So hopefully tonight will be the most that we can get, and then keep going. Whatever ceiling we can hit tonight with emotion, we're gonna try and get a little bit more out of you. So we just expect you fans to enjoy yourselves, because let's be honest, everybody goes back to their job on Monday. You know what? Let's have some fucking fun tonight, you know?
You're a potty mouth. And buy merchandise.
Lots of merchandise. Okay, Chris.
I think just enjoy yourselves and have a great time. You look at the card from top to bottom. You're going to see a mixture of it all. Like I said, like a restaurant, you're going to see a lot of local young British kids that are rising up to be stars, and of course guys from abroad. You're going to see all type of matches, from pure wrestling matches to acrobatic, to ladder matches, to barbed wire matches. I mean, you're going to see it all. So I really think that 1PW is putting out the best product in the UK and Europe. I really do, and they're giving you the best all-around show, period. So that's something that you're a part of and be proud of. So just enjoy it, have a good night, because that's what we're going to do.
This is for all of you. What's the worst injury you've ever had?
Worst injury? I'll start because I was probably the most recent. Probably about 4 months ago now. It was right before the was it Devil's Due show, I think. I was wrestling in Pittsburgh, and I tore my MCL on my knee, and I dislocated my knee, which completely came out of the socket and tore the tendon almost in half, which was really. And the worst part is it didn't even look good. I watched the tape and it looked like I just fell down. But meanwhile, it felt like someone just cut my leg in half. It was the most intense pain I've ever felt, and it really worried me when I tried to stand up in the ring, and it just wasn't happening. My knee was just completely wrecked, which really sucked. But other than that, I've been pretty fortunate. I haven't had too many serious injuries.
I sprained my ankle like a month ago. No, you don't understand. That's not the worst of it. I had to sit on the couch, and the only DVD I had was the best of Sterling James Keenan. And I wouldn't want to put that on my worst enemy.
I've had some bumps and bruises over the years, but the worst one I had was the first night of a tour, a 14-match tour. I broke my jaw, and it took like 2 days for me to go to the doctor. My jaw was out here. I finally went to the doctor, and he pushed it back in, but they wouldn't let me go home because you have to show fighting spirit. So I would have to tape my jaw together for like the next 6 weeks when I was wrestling, and just hope that somebody wouldn't kick me in the face as hard as they could. So, but yeah, going into that when you got like an injury and trying to perform it 100% is pretty tough. But somehow we do it. Cabana.
Separated both my shoulders, my AC joint, tore a quad, blew out my MCL. Something with my cheek, broke my cheekbone, broke some fingers, and hyperextended my knee.
Other than that, he's fine.
My whole body. I'll start from the head up. I've had some minor, some major. I guess about 29 concussions. I've had stitches in my head around a dozen times. I've needed them on how many more. I've super glued my head a few times, or just butterflied it. I've super glued right here. I've broke my nose several times. I've blacked my eyes on how many times. I've chipped a tooth right here. Cracked a vertebrae in my neck on my whole right side's bad. My elbow, I chipped it, strained it, detached the tricep from the bone. This index finger's gone. Little finger's gone. I sprained this wrist, slid it on some glass also, glass outside the ring. I ripped my groin up so bad, so many times and kept going. And my hip, like I said, from the ladder thing. And I could just keep going. I pitched neck, back, shoulders, both sides. Put my knee out, playing football. And that's actually my good knee. My other knee's way worse. I broke my leg. I've sprained ankle. I broke my other ankle. Cracked my ribs right here. Got hit with a baseball bat in the right. Really did. And gosh, I could go on and on. I can't even think. I guess that's about it. Oh, I got a heart murmur from this business. Yeah, I got sleep apnea. I've got a closed valve. I do. I've got, it's called aortic stenosis. And like I said, here to there is not good at all. It's a real brutal. That's what people don't know, that we keep playing hurt. A lot of times guys will be hurt. Some of these boys may be hurt right now. They don't even tell you. You travel, you just keep going. And you just hope for the best, but that's the way it is. I've like I said, on my ribs, I broke them in a riot. I got hit with a ball bat. This was back in '83 when I first started, and it's formed a fatty tumor that on my ribs there. Well, last April in Germany, I broke them again, same spot. So I threw up every day for about 3 months, and I'm not, looking for sympathy or anything like that. It's part of what we do, and because this is what we love. It's in your blood, and the biggest challenge is within yourself to keep going. And that's where guys will push themselves so hard, and they won't take the time off, and they won't listen. They get addicted to the painkillers and things like that. And we don't have what a lot of businesses or sports have as far as health. If we don't work, we don't get paid. We're not on contract with anybody, so you just keep going. And mine are probably not as worse as some of the guys, but that's why you see what you see when people abuse, painkillers and stuff. And it's sad to say that a lot aren't with us anymore. So take that in mind when they're out there beating their brains out. They're doing it for what they love, which is our business, and they do it again. Eddie Guerrero, God rest his soul, he just pushed himself too hard and just couldn't go anymore.
Well, mine isn't going to sound so bad now after what Tracy just said, but a couple of years ago I cracked my humerus bone, which is the bone supposed to which is the bone underneath your bicep and tricep, and fractured my elbow. And that was just doing a simple back elbow. The guy put his hands up and I elbowed his forearms, and it cracked it at 3 different bones. But that's pretty much all the kind of big injury I've got. But even at that, I wasn't out for very long, but I haven't had any serious injuries.
Guys, we have about time for 1 or 2 more questions, and then we'll get down to Fight Club and everything like that. So we're going to start Fight Club at like 2:45, and then, so 2 more questions.
We can do this all day, though. Hell with the barbed wire match.
Can I get everyone's thoughts on Kurt Angle? How long you'll last in TNA, please?
I think he's a good wrestler.
I second that.
Yeah, he'll probably stay a while.
He'll do the TNA shows and whatever house shows they do, and knowing Kurt, he'll probably do the MMA, and I hope he beats the crap out of it. I hope he beats the hell out of that pewter. I think he's a punk.
Last one. Make it good. Make it good. On your shoulders, buddy.
Pressure's on.
I know. Right? You screen there, it'll bury you if it's bad.
With a barbed wire, a death match, and a ladder match tonight, I mean, the show is going to be absolutely amazing. But the one match I've came from Birmingham, England to see is AJ Styles versus Pac. And I was just wondering if I could have your guys' thoughts on the match and the 2 guys involved.
Well, luck threw us a nice curveball when Teddy got a scratch and he couldn't come. Because I thought in the beginning when Pac was coming back that his first match back in 1PW should have been AJ Styles, to prove to the fans that Pac's the real deal, and AJ, if you look back 5 years, you could see where Pac was in like AJ's shoes, and AJ was in that thing of making the rise. So I always thought that the match for Anniversary should have been Pac versus AJ, and Teddy and Pac had an awesome match at was it Fight Club? Devil's Due? Yeah, and you know what? And I was just happy that Teddy had a good match at with someone and showed up. But yeah, I think it's going to be one of the most exciting matches on the show, and I think, you know, like I said, you know, luck was in everybody's thing. I think Teddy and Pac would have had a great match, but I think I think Pac and AJ are, you know, have the chance to steal the show. Like every match, you know, there's 9 matches tonight. You know, every match could steal the show. So it's one of those things going in. Everybody's going to be competing. There's no crappy matches on tonight. So I hope everybody's looking forward to it.
Yeah. Hey, you know, everyone's got their favorite matches. That's a good one to be a favorite of, and I've seen, you know, I obviously haven't seen a lot of Pac, but I know he's a stud and he's going to be a big star, and hopefully, you know, you think, when you think Pac, you think 1PW, and that's the whole thing. When you think, you know, Carino, you think 1PW and Team Shag and 1PW. So you're going to remember tonight when the match that Pac and AJ Styles tore it up, and you're going to remember it was done here at 1PW.
Guys, we'd like to thank you for coming out tonight. When the idea of the Fan Forum Q&A was brought up, we didn't know if it was going to be like an annual thing or everything. But the one reason that we wanted to do the Fan Forum Q&A, not only that we get to see your face if you bury us online now, was to show that you guys do have a voice in 1PW, and the ideas come off. You know, ECW used to do it with CyberSlam. And, you know, hopefully we can make this an annual event or even a biannual event because, you know, you guys are our fan base. You know, there's going to be, we'll be the first to tell you, you know, there's going to be somebody tell you on the main show. But tonight is completely sold out. I was in the office last night and Steven was answering the phone, you know, and he had to tell people that, man, I'm sorry, I can't sell you a ticket because tonight is completely sold out. So, you know, on behalf of all of us, we'd like to thank you guys for, you know, making this a sellout. So yeah, we're gonna get ready for Fight Club. You know, there's 5 matches on Fight Club. There's 9 on the anniversary show. We hope you guys just have a great time, man. This is pro wrestling heaven. So, you know, guys, enjoy yourself and thank you for coming out.
Remember, lots of merchandise.